we were just talking about U.S. foreign policy in South America. We're talking about the brutality of right-wing dictators installed by America, like Pinochet in Chile, who threw his military rivals out of helicopters. He imprisoned and tortured leftists. And his enemies. He disappeared people, murder squads, death squads, terrible violence, all in the name of U.S. corporate interests and fighting evil communism in the name of capitalism, right? Not allowing South Americans to have autonomy and make their own political decisions if they wanted to have state ownership of oil or whatever else. So keep in mind, I'm going to say this story here is in the Wall Street Journal, a very conservative outlet, but Donald Trump had installed in the State Department the son of one of these ruling families, right-wing ruling families in Chile, who I believe he was an American, or his father came to America, and he might have been born here, but he's of this family, this ruling family in Chile, who was like the financier of the Pinochet regime. And guess what? This guy, Trump installed this kid at the State Department. This guy's pretty young. Installed him at the State Department, and he just so happened to end up at the January 6th insurrection and is being charged now. Surprise, surprise! The child of far right coup performing party member just so happened to try to coup it up here in the United States. Can you believe it? This is in the Wall Street Journal. Trump State Department official charged in connection with Capitol riot. Former mid-level official Frederico Klein, a Trump appointee, is charged with assaulting police during January 6th attack. The former mid-level State Department official, appointed by then-President Donald Trump, was arrested on charges of assaulting police officers during the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, according to a complaint unsealed Friday, marking what appears to be the first Trump administration official to face charges for allegedly participating in the deadly riot, January 6th. Insurrection Day, as I call it, everybody. Frederico Klein worked in the State Department's Office of Brazilian and Southern Cone Affairs as a political appointee and held a top secret security clearance, according to the affidavit, which was dated Tuesday and unsealed after his arrest Thursday. He was captured in footage from surveillance and police-worn cameras during the riot, physically and verbally engaging with officers, trying to hold a line, the affidavit says. Let's see. State Department spokeswoman confirmed, Mr. Klein had served as a presidential appointee from 2017 through January 2021, right up until Insurrection Day, and said he had worked as a staff assistant with the transition team and as special assistant in the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs. So this is not the story I originally read. So hold on, guys. Let me find the other one. So can you believe it? As J. Andrew World in the comments says, the dumb coup, the Chud Hall push, as some have called it. I read a story that was okay. Like he investigators say Klein allegedly pushed a riot shield in between the doors to the Capitol, preventing officers from closing the doors. MAGA hat and everything. Gotta have the MAGA hat. Investigators said other videos posted on social media purportedly show Klein inciting the mob and trying to break through the police line on Lower West Terrace Tunnel and into the Capitol building. They said he captured on video calling back the crowd behind him. We need fresh people. We need fresh people. So, this guy's like, hey, listen, I know a thing or two about coups. Like, let me help you out here. Let's see. Oh, man. Let's see. Yeah, Schedule C political appointee. Yeah, no, that's it, man. Dang. But there he is, looking real sad. He's looking real sad, guys. Somehow it just didn't work out for him. Coups aren't easy, guys. Coups are not easy. You usually get the military to help you with it. That is what that's what they discovered Myanmar. There was an article too about QAnon supporters who were who were upset that Myanmar got a coup. Why didn't we get one? So I'm just trying to find. Vice did it, of course. So, guys, I'm not a huge fan of Vice, but they did do a good rundown of this guy's issues. So let's see. Oh, okay. Sorry, it wasn't at all. He wasn't at all tied to Chile. I got that wrong. I misremembered. He Trump official. Oh, that's so sorry, guys. Trump official. Oh, geez, ads. Hold on. The ad will go away. Sorry, guys. I totally forgot to prepare for this story, and I just remembered it. And it's such a trip that this happened. I mean, I really am like just so surprised, but not that surprised. Trump official. Let's see. Charged in capital right as family ties to Argentina's military junta. Freddie Klein, Trump appointee, repeatedly praised the Argentinian military junta of the 1970s and 80s while working at the State Department. So get this. I mean, so we all know the facts now. Sorry it took me so long to get here. But this is a State Department official. He had warm feelings about the Argentine junta. His father's Argentine, and he expressed some frustration about how history remembers that brutal dictatorship. One former State Department official who heard Klein praise the junta told Vice News. Let's see. So it turns out that this dude Klein was so creepy that he they pushed him onto the FOIA desk, the Freedom of Information Act desk. Like it was seen as like a desk, like a. He was out of his element, basically. Let's see. Klein's uncle, Guillermo Walter Klein Jr., was a senior economic official in the Argentine military junta shortly after it came to power in 1976, while he pushed through drastic neoliberal economic reforms. The military and its allies were busy murdering as many as 30,000 Argentine students, trade union organizers, and other dissidents. And he may not have been the only relative with pro-junta views. Bob Cox, a former newspaper editor in Argentina, told Vice News that he knew both Walter and Federico, Freddie's father. And while he hadn't met Freddie, who was born in the U.S. in 1978, Cox said he was not a bit surprised about his alleged involvement in the insurrection, giving his father and his uncle's politics. Oh my gosh. Quote, there is a connection of the belief that you use military force if you can. That ran in the family. So yeah, and again, we didn't get military force, on January 6th. Jay Coleman in the comments says, you and J. Andrew World were talking about how they would kidnap leftist kids from their families and give them to fascist families. Crazy shit. Yeah, and in Argentina, specifically, they have and they have them in all these countries, where it's like a women's organization to reunite their stolen children. Can you, guys, sit with how sick that is? What we always see, the right loves to lecture us and be like, oh, the evils of Stalin and all the deaths of communism, the black book of communism, especially completely, overblows the death count of the Soviet Empire, which, again, that's not, I'm not going to try to explain away. I'm not a full blown pro-Soviet. You're not going to get that here. Sorry, guys, if that's your flavor. But the death count of in the name of capitalism and of far right, America propped up all these fascists. Let's get to this point. This is from Federico Finkelstein, Argentine history professor at the New School. His famous uncle played the role of a conservative technocrat who enabled fascist-inspired dictators. Freddie played a very different role. This is a person who is on the fascist side of the equation. His uncle, Guillermo Walter Klein, was not in the trenches as a fighter. So this guy, he's doing something a bit below his station, as it were. But let's see. There was a quote in here that is absolutely terrifying. And basically, let's see. This guy was talking up. Let's see. Freddie Klein's pro-junta views. He was at the State Department. He could speak fluent Spanish, so he was seen as an asset. But he soon proved his lack of diplomatic training and inability to carry on that job as well, say former colleagues. In the course of talking to him, it was clear he was way out of his depth. Now, here's interesting. He was very paranoid, always worried about there being a purge of what he called the real Trump loyalists, said another official. He saw himself as a real Trump hardliner. So he's like worried about purges. Let's see. Colleagues said that he touted his Trump ties and wasn't shy in voicing his strident views on policies like abortion, immigration, and foreign policy. Even compared to his normal right-wing tough talk, his views on Argentina stood out to his colleagues. One former State Department official said that he'd heard Klein argue a viewpoint held by arch conservatives in many Latin American countries that when right-wing dictatorships committed human rights abuses, quote, the body count was in their legitimate fight against anti-government guerrillas. I think, another official, I think that clearly the views expressed were very sympathetic to a notorious human rights abusing regime that came to power in a coup and brutalized its civilians. Guys, when they say human rights abuses, that is a fancy State Department euphemism for rape, murder, and torture and mass killing. Let's see. He had made very sympathetic remarks about the military junta, calling a positive thing. When I saw the news that he was involved in January 6th, I wasn't surprised at all. Let's see. I mean, there's one part where, according to Cox, Guillermo Walter Klein Sr., the patriarch, once told him, this is his uncle, once told this source, the only way to deal with terrorism is to look upon them as stones, and you throw them into a bottomless well. A haunting comment, given that the Argentine military junta was known for drugging its political prisoners and throwing them to drown into the Atlantic Ocean from airplanes. Okay, guys? Okay? This is like when the far right, when they're so clearly red baiting right now, calling Joe Biden, this elderly neoliberal, a communist, this is because this is what they would like to do to leftists. This is what the far right has done and will do. This is why you have to be careful. You have to protect yourself. I worry about my own safety and the safety of my family from just talking into a microphone on the internet about the far right and the extreme right. Because all of that stuff. We have some comments. I'm getting distracted by. I want to acknowledge them. Evil Yoda talking about the Black Book of Communism, Red Scare garbage. They failed to establish communism. It was authoritarian state. Some people argue definitely China today is engaged in state capitalism. But the idea of socialism or communism, and I'm not doing it. True communism's never been tried, man. It's just saying Soviet Russia was an authoritarian, top-down state. They had class, they had, oppression, all the things that, Marx and Engels were, attempting to addressing. But Jay Coleman, I'm a tanky sympathizer, full disclosure. Okay. Well, I expect someone from the military to be a little more tanky, because of the tanks. But Evil Yoda blaming something that was never implemented is delusional. Stalin scrapped communism and called it a success, killed the revolutionaries that disagreed. Yeah, absolutely. This is our Soviet history. This is why it was later known as Stalinism. And it's just, and for America, it was very, very, in Argentina specifically, like I said, the previous leader, president of Argentina. I wrote about the guy in my Spanish class. President of Argentina, land. He did like a whole land thing. No. I can't remember his name, but Arbin? Was it Arbin? I think I'm remembering. But he was a capitalist. He was an open capitalist, but he redistributed land. So and that justified the United States hawkish foreign policy, helping to do a coup against him, and it was in the interest. It's in the interest of the right wing and capitalists to blanket term everything to the left of neoliberal capitalism is communism, crazy, evil socialism. When you have social democracy and all different types of mixed economies. Just crazy. J. Andrew World, Vice did a great article on the disappeared Garifuna people. J. Coleman, Stalin also defeated Hitler. So, yeah. Evil Yoda, Marxism isn't Soviet. Soviet communism concept is simply derived from it. Thank you, guys. This is a great discussion. High-level ideas. J. Coleman, absolutely. The right is trying to engage in self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's the other thing about this, too, is like the right gets to destabilize South America, the Middle East, Africa, literally keep Africa under its thumb, with apartheid and imperialism. And then as soon as we see repercussions of that, it's, oh my goodness, like it fuels reactionary right-wing thinking. Look at all these people coming over the border. It's the same thing with, capitalists hiding, oil companies hiding the fact that they knew that global warming was a fact in the 70s and suppressing everything, funding literally the same scientists who said smoking wasn't unhealthy to argue against global warming, to create, there's not a total consensus, it could be anything. And now we're seeing, again, the outcomes of climate change increasing reactionary politics. And so we've seen this right-wing shift across the world. You have Modi in India. You have Duterte in the Philippines. You have Bolsonaro, that's a Dave Rubin dig, Bolsonaro in Brazil. And again, dirty dealings with Obama's own Justice Department to screw over how could I forget his name? Lula da Silva, Brazil's amazing, who has now been cleared of charges, thank goodness.